this what people call strategy?
Here? Huh. I thought they'd never ask.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Learned every weapon, bested every opponent.
30 seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned.
Well, the end of the world isn't gonna stop itself. This one's got fire! nothing wrong with a life of peace. Could never find one myself. Inflation's really getting out of control.
An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Warriors, rulers, gods, they all bleed the same. Sky looks mighty free and void. You're welcome.
Has been slain. has been slain. Enemy killing spree. Rampage. Enemy killing spree. Enemy double kill. Enemy rampage. Has been slain.
Picked up a few tricks during my wandering.
An enemy is unstoppable. An ally has been slain.
Might have to make another heroic last stand.
An enemy is dominating. An enemy is unstoppable.
Old man with a lamp coming through.
An enemy has been slain.
Go for a boiled egg right about now.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Always a reason to keep on
An
keeping
enemy
on.
is godlike. An enemy has dominated.
Show me what you're made of.
An ally has been slain.
Think you can beat me? I never get tired of
An ally has been slain.
Might
An
work.
enemy has been slain. Enemy killing spree. Enemy double kill.
These old bones haven't failed
Your
me
turret
yet.
has been destroyed. Defeat.
With respect, I think that's preposterous.
79 years ago, yesterday, the concentration camp at Auschwitz was liberated. It meant that the world would soon discover the utter horror of the Holocaust, when 6 million Jewish people were killed across Europe by the Nazis. The march of time means there aren't many survivors left who can speak about what happened. But this week, I had the privilege to talk to one. Born in Hungary, Lily Ebert survived Auschwitz and this week met the Prime Minister to mark Holocaust Memorial Day. Rishi Sunak said it was a moment he would remember for the rest of his life. Now, 100 years old, Lily and her great-grandson Dov have shared the truth about what happened in Auschwitz, over 2 million followers, on TikTok, and have become best-selling authors with their book, Lily's Promise. I started by asking them what that promise was.
When I survived the worst thing in life, being in Auschwitz, that could say was in the life for anybody the worst thing. To survive that, I don't think a lot of people survive that. I survived that, and that was terrible.
And your promise was that if you survived, you would tell the world.
And I did.
One of the things that I've seen you talk about is the pendant that you took from your mother. Tell me about that. Tell me about the pendant.
The pendant is something very special. That is a thing what survived the worst thing in the world. And that is the only thing what I get left about Auschwitz.
You were able to keep it because your mother hid it in her shoe. Is that right?
Yes, because that is really the only thing what it is left for my mother to me.
What do you think about when you look at it and you think about your mother?
Something like that should not any time happen to anybody who to do somebody this terrible thing, the most terrible thing in the world, but without reason toward doing that to anybody.
You are now 100 years old. You were in Auschwitz at 20. You promised to tell this story. Some people would say, why does somebody of your age want to work to tell this story? You know, you should be resting. Why do you want to tell the world this story?
Because this story is so only one. Normal people would not do something that to another normal people who killing anybody, nearly kill without reason.
Can I ask you, Lily, you have children, grandchildren, you have a huge family. Do you fear that what happened 80 years ago could ever happen again?
That is a very difficult question to answer for me. But we see it can, because it happened. It happened to me the second time as well, Luckily, they did not kill me. Only nearly. They behaved to me, not to human being you should talk to. They talk to somebody who's not a normal human being. Why should anybody feel like that to me when I have not done nothing wrong for the whole world?
Dov, the theme for Holocaust Memorial Day this year is fragility of freedom. Why does this still matter? There are people who say we should put this behind us.
We sit here today against the backdrop that we know that the anti-Semitism that led to my great-grandmother's mother, youngest sister and youngest brother being murdered in the gas chambers of Auschwitz-Birkenau did not die with the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau on the 27th of January 1945, but is still ever present in today's world. And that's why it's important to remember, because we need ordinary people like you and I, who stood idly by during the time of the Holocaust, to realise that if we leave hatred to go unchecked, that leads to places like the gas chambers. Auschwitz-Birkenau did not fall from the sky. The Holocaust was not something that was created overnight. This was indoctrination over years of an ideology of hatred. And my great-grandmother has gone out to schools, universities, colleges, workplaces, synagogues, churches, mosques for years to share one simple message, which is that we're all part of one human race. And we all hurt when someone cuts us, and we all bleed the same colour, red. It doesn't matter what ethnicity, what race or religion you are. And we have to realise that hate only spreads hate, but love will always breed more love. And we have so much more in common than that which divides us.
Is that, in essence, your point about Holocaust Memorial Day, that actually, let me put it this way, that it is a reminder that there's darkness in everybody, that it isn't just a group of people who are particularly bad?
I've learnt from my great-grandmother to focus on the light, so I think there's light in everyone, but unfortunately sometimes people can go down the wrong path and can choose violence and can choose hatred. But yes, it's a choice to choose hatred or love in life. My great-grandmother could have so easily come out of the Holocaust and be consumed by hatred and decided to teach her children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, 37 great-grandchildren, to be hateful towards Germans or towards people who carried out atrocities towards her, but that's not the case. So again, we have to ask on this Holocaust Memorial Day that people don't allow the plea of never again to be an empty mantra and phrase. We must ensure that it's upheld by action, and that wherever you see hatred, particularly now when anti-Semitism is at the biggest rise in percentage that it's been since the time of the Holocaust, that you call it out and you say it's not acceptable, just like I would do when I see any other sorts of hatred, racism or prejudice towards other people.
It is reported, particularly by the Community Security Trust and others, that there is a rise in anti-Semitic behaviour and incidents. Do you think that is right? If you think it's right, why? And what should we do about it?
I know it's right because I've faced the gravest anti-Semitic attacks that I've ever faced in my life since October 7th.
For example?
Outside university, there were people screaming that they want an intifada until victory. That means that translates to violence against Jewish people here in the United Kingdom and in the State of Israel. They want violence akin to that which we saw in the Manchester attacks, the London Bridge terror attacks, the 7/7 bombings. That's what an intifada is. And that's what they were calling outside my university, one of the most possibly prestigious universities in London, calling for an intifada, violence until victory against the Jewish people. How have we got to a place in the country where anti-Semitism, which once simmered below the surface, has now boiled over, and people are very happy for them to show that they're anti-Semitic in the mainstream? They're not scared anymore like they were once upon a time to show that maybe they have this hatred. And perhaps they thought that way, but they definitely didn't say that in public. And now what we see is people brazenly and openly in the public, without challenge, especially without challenge, unfortunately, from even our police service at times, going out on the streets with placards and with banners and also saying things which are openly anti-Semitic and need to be called out. And it's not acceptable that in 2024, Jewish students like myself, I'll say it again, feel unsafe to wear their kippah on university campus or to be in a lecture and feel that they can just learn like everyone else. And I would say the same for any Muslim student who's been facing any increase in Islamophobia, any black student who's been feeling an increase in racism. We all have a right to learn in freedom. And I would hope that everyone would say the same for Jewish students too.
What would you like police or university authorities to do that they're not doing now?
The first thing to do is just to listen seriously to what the Jewish people have to say. You know, when Jewish students like myself report anti-Semitism or hatred or people being rude and disrespectful to us, often it comes with questions and context with it. And at times it feels like anti-Semitism isn't taken seriously. We've had great support, thankfully, from the government and the opposition, and the police have made amazing statements, but it doesn't often seem that those statements translate into action. So I think we'd just like to see more action being taken against those who, in reaction to the worst atrocity against the Jewish people since the Holocaust, have been going out on the street and calling for further violence and genocide against Jewish people, whether that's here in our country or abroad. And I'll say one final thing about people on social media. If your response, again, to what happened on October 7th is to go out on social media and to comment on my great-grandmother's TikTok page that you want what happened to women on October 7th to happen to my great-grandmother, for her to be raped or murdered or bombed, if that's your response, then your moral compass is completely in the wrong place. And there's a lot of work for us as a country to do to get back to where we were before October 7th, to get back where people are respectful towards one another, but especially against Jewish people.
Dov has just been talking about his experience and the anti-Semitic incidents he has faced. Did you think at any time before now that your great-grandson would experience some of what you saw all those years ago in Europe? Did you ever think this would happen again to your great-grandchildren?
No, I would have not believed that again, that it will happen, but it happened. And when you ask me, I must ask, yes, it can.
It can happen again.
And it has happened again.
And Savta, what's your message to those who are hateful?
Look, open your eyes. Ask me why. What is the difference when I think beliefs like that or like me? Nothing. I believe like normal people should, that you should be nice to each other and not hateful, but we learned it could happen. And I hope to God it will not happen again.
Remarkable woman. Back at the start of the Iraq War in 2003, Colonel Tim Collins became a household name for his rousing eve of battle speech to the Royal Irish Regiment's 1st Battalion. President Bush hung a copy of it in his office. Now he's running to be the MP for North Down in Northern Ireland. I'll speak to him next.
3 gunmen gunning it in a highway getaway, tearing through traffic with Polair and tactical police in hot pursuit. They dump the car in Darra, torch it, then take off on foot. The trio split up and try to sneak through the streets, bushland, front yards until a police car pulls up, hands up. The game is up for 2 alleged shooters, their accomplice vanishing. All the while, their vehicle burns.
It's massive, it's big, it's really big, it's scary.
This was less than 2 hours after the group allegedly started shooting in the inner city near a Mary Street hotel and kebab shop where workers say people took cover from the gunfire.
It's just terrified, you know, like people like, what's going on? I'm gonna lose my life or what? They were like lying down, some of them walked inside the store, so they just don't know what to do. They wanna save themselves.
A man and 2 women were hit,
which has resulted in 3 people receiving injuries that we would consider non-life threatening.
Police are yet to reveal what motivated this armed gang to allegedly open fire so brazenly on a busy Saturday night, but believe this was a targeted attack.
It's concerning that if anyone's got a firearm, especially in those sort of circumstances.
The 2 men from Redbank Plains and Goodna are each facing 15 charges, including 4 counts of attempted murder. Tonight, the 3rd gunman is on the run and firmly in the crosshairs of police. Garth Burley, 7 News.
Everyone to understand, and also obviously they can quite see that we must have the possibility to earn a living. We cannot be strangled as is the case at the moment. To tell you the truth, we've actually in less than a generation changed from becoming, in a sense, landlords to tenants of our own land. The taxation has become so high that we can't afford to stay anymore. And of course, that means the incentive is entirely taken away. So no young generation, no youngsters really feel it's a good choice to head into farming.
Christopher, many of the concerns that the unions have, they also point to wider issues that are affecting people, farmers right across Europe. So what kind of room for manoeuvre does the French government have? We're talking about things like the increasing cost of farm diesel, late payment of EU subsidies, competition from imports, and also, is there an issue around the pricing of French products? Why are customers not buying them in our supermarkets here?
Well, you're absolutely right when you say that this is difficult to know how to get back to control of one's own country. And obviously, as you say, it's across the board European problem when it comes to certain taxation. But many laws and regulations have been specifically French, wanting to do things better, cleaner than others. And we can only applaud when we can afford, obviously, to be the best of all, which is possibly, obviously, it's prejudice to say that, but it is a very, very high level of production here in France in terms of quality and guarantee. Obviously, we have to get through now to, as you say, to the common public and help them to understand, come and buy our products, to let us get back to selling a better proportion of overall produce.
Christopher, we'll have to leave it there for now, but thank you so much for joining us. That's Christopher Derat from the Farmers Union Coordination Rurale.
Thank you.
In sports news, Nigeria have booked their spot in the quarterfinals of the Africa Cup of Nations thanks to a 2-0 victory over Cameroon. They'll be taking on Angola next Friday after they beat Namibia 3-0. James Vizina from our sports desk was following the action for us in Ivory Coast.
The Super Eagles send Cameroon home. The Indomitable Lions unable to produce pretty much anything on the pitch, while Nigeria were looking rested, were looking composed, and it was Lookman who gave them that brace to get the 2-0 win over Cameroon. Credit to Victor Osimhen, who was doing a lot of work to help his teammates. Also, he was unable to find the net, but the team is looking very solid and once again managed to continue with another clean sheet in this clash. Cannot say the same for Cameroon. 8 goals in 4 matches, a terrible defensive record, and one for Rigobert Song and his team to forget. Very little positives for them to retain as they head home to Cameroon after what's been a much shorter tournament than they would have hoped. Now, Nigeria will be playing Angola next. Angola, who managed to put on another impressive attacking display, getting a 3-0 win over Namibia. This despite what seemed like a tide turning against them when their goalkeeper was sent off for making a save outside of the box. Namibia, however, have a lot to take back with them. It's the first time that they do make it into the round of 16, but that is the end of the journey for them and the first quarter-final that is now set to take place. Still to come then on Sunday, it's the clash of the two Guineas with Equatorial Guinea, fresh off that 4-0 win over Ivory Coast. A very inspiring win for them to go into that. And Egypt take on DR Congo. Not allowed to make any draws this time. That's a special mention to, of course, Egypt, who so far are winless, only managing to secure draws in 3 of their games so far. If they do, then it will head on to penalties, and nobody wants to see things go that way.
James Vizina reporting there from the Ivory Coast. With 20 decks, a 40,000-gallon lake, 40 restaurants and bars and a 16-piece orchestra. The world's largest cruise ship has set sail from Miami, Florida on its maiden voyage, carrying what amounts to the population of a small city. Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas can carry up to 7,600 passengers and a crew of 2,350. Well, despite its size, its owners say the liquefied natural gas-powered vessel is more eco-friendly than some smaller cruise ships, but environmentalists warn that it will leak harmful methane into the atmosphere. That's it from us for now, but do stay with us for more world news here on France 24.
These men and women have gathered in Yecheon in South Korea with one very important objective. The 20 men and 20 women are all in their 30s, and they're all single. Some have travelled long distances, and today they're hoping to find their soulmate.
저는 경북 예천 출신이고요. 회사는 서울에 있고 어제 저녁에 내려와가지고 아직 환복을 못했어요. 그래서 나이는 35이고 그래서 이게 좋은 계기가 돼서 좋은 사람들하고 많이 교류하고 싶어서 신청하게 됐습니다. 네, 그래서 박수 주세요. 감사합니다. 그렇습니다.
The participants have 48 hours to get to know each other. These timid exchanges are an important part of South Korean government policy. Cities experiencing depopulation receive more than 650 million euros between them every year to hold events like this one. The aim is to increase the number of marriages and lift the birth rate. For 27-year-old Park So-won, it's a rare opportunity to find a potential marriage partner.
I spend all my time at work, so it's difficult to meet new people. It's getting more complicated to marry.
Young people who want to tie the knot are the exception in South Korea, where the number of marriages has fallen by 40% over the past decade. Women are at the forefront of this cultural shift. They're more interested in building a career and living a more independent life. Faced with a lack of potential partners at home, more men are seeking love overseas. Every year, about 16,000 South Korean men marry someone of a different nationality. Last year, almost a third of them married Vietnamese women. Several met their future wives here in Haiphong in northern Vietnam. These young women, often from neighbouring villages, see international marriage as a route to a better life. But these events often take place without the knowledge of the Vietnamese authorities. Today, around 20 women aged between 20 and 30 have come to this hotel in the city's centre.
I would like to make a good impression on my future husband, in case I meet him today. The bracelet I'm wearing is symbolic. It's the key to my heart.
Gong Yu Man, the director of a marriage agency in Seoul, comes here every month. This time he's accompanied by 2 South Korean men hoping to find a bride. Jin Woon Sob, a 40-year-old farmer, is hoping to find someone who can help him run his farm and look after his aging parents.
It's difficult to find a wife in South Korea. I'm getting old and it doesn't get easier with time. Marriage is seen as important. Everyone around me keeps telling me it's time to settle down.
Try to be more at ease during the interviews. As I already explained, avoid complicated questions and just focus on simple ones. It's his first time, so he doesn't really know which questions to ask or those to avoid when speaking to a woman.
Jin landed in Haiphong this morning. He doesn't know anything about the women he's about to meet, and he'll only have 10 minutes to chat to each one. The meetings take place under Gong's watchful eye. Jin interviews the women one after the other with the help of an interpreter. This man has remembered Gong's advice and is keeping things simple.
Em làm lễ tân cho khách sạn ạ. Em thế nào? Anh hiền. Vâng. Nhiều cũng thấy hiền rồi ạ. chắc 많이 안 하시는.
이렇게 말 하게 하는 사람 아니야. 이렇게 조용한 사람이야. 근데 이제 우섭 씨는 재능력이 애가 있기 때문에 안 되는 거지.
Some of the meetings end quickly. Jin seems eager to get to know more about this woman, 30-year-old Tien. She's been called back for a second meeting. This time, she and Jin communicate using translation apps. Ten minutes later, all seems well.
착한 것 같아. 착한 것 같아요.
Em có thích anh không? Dạ vâng.
홍서 씨는 어떻고? 그러면 이제 마음에 드셨으면 남자답게 일어서서 악수 한번 하시고 한번 안아주시고 답변 안 해서요. 답변 안 hago.
Em run ạ. Dạ có. Dạ vui. Em nghĩ là tình cảm sẽ phải từ thời gian bồi đắp vậy ạ.
These marriages may not be a case of love at first sight, but they come with the prospect of a stable future for Vietnamese women and their families. The average salary in South Korea is 5 times that in Vietnam. In this village on the outskirts of Haiphong, There are signs of prosperity amid the rice paddies. The change began 20 years ago after the first wave of international marriages involving local women. This village's 4 nieces all married and moved to South Korea and now help their families back home.
Once they get married, the women can help their parents financially. They work abroad and send money home. That's used to build beautiful houses. I regret not having more daughters. I could have married them off to foreigners.
As many as 1 in 7 young women in some Vietnamese villages have left to marry and live overseas. Tien, the bride-to-be, comes from one of these villages. Back in Haiphong, the new couple is celebrating their wedding barely 24 hours after they first met. But only the bride's family is here. Jin has paid for everything, spending 7,600 euros on his visit to Vietnam and his wedding ceremony.
It's a lot of money, but that's the price you pay to get married. It doesn't bother me.
Gong says wedding costs can reach 12,500 euros, depending on the marriage agency.
The men pay the agency fees, and the women pay local intermediaries who put them in contact with their foreign partners. It's a completely normal way to get married here.
Everything's happened very quickly for the newlyweds, but now they need to be patient. Before leaving for South Korea, Tien has to learn some Korean and get the necessary documents for her visa. The process will take 7 months.
I'm very happy I found my other half. But I'm also very worried about going to a country where I don't have any friends. I don't know the culture. I have to start from scratch. I've been told that life is better there. That's why I chose to leave.
It will be difficult, and it will be a while before we see her again. We'll miss her, of course.
Life in South Korea is not always as easy as the women are led to believe. The language barrier and cultural differences mean some experience discrimination and isolation, and 42% are victims of domestic violence. Divorce is common, affecting 60% of international couples in South Korea. Some women turn to community groups for help, including this one in Incheon, west of the capital, Seoul. This morning it's hosting an event to help foreign women make Korean friends.
We've organized several activities to bring Incheon residents closer to multicultural families through things like Korean language classes and concerts. I hope you'll continue the precious friendships you've built over the past year.
Jesalia, who's from the Philippines, came to South Korea 12 years ago.
우리 KFC 센터 있어. 아, 있어? 차 있어.
Jesalia and her Korean husband have 2 children. She remembers how tough it was at first.
One of the struggles in my life is the communications. When my son is so sick, I don't know how to communicate the doctor. How can I explain to him? Most of the foreign, they expect a lot of things in Korea. They think when they watch the movie, they like a Korean drama. But when they came here in the Korea, everything everything, in reality, everything is changed.
Jasalia believes there's only one secret to a successful marriage.
Don't expect anything. You must learn. You must learn everything and then accept. And don't expect anything. You just adapt, and then that's all.
International marriages could help South Korea address its low birth rate, but they face many challenges in this conservative society. Community groups have called on the government to better protect foreign brides and not just view them as a solution to the population problem.
I'm Natalie Savrikas, France 24's Athens correspondent. I'll be bringing you the latest from Greece and Cyprus live here on news and other TV programs. So join me here on France 24.
Natalie Savarikas, one of the 200 France 24 correspondents around the world.
Show about women consacré aux femmes. The 51% is celebrating its 10th anniversary.
Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a new show about women who are...
For the past decade, we've been reporting on women who are reshaping